Hey, and welcome to TrainWorld Fun. I'm Jabbo, and I've really struggled here lately to do videos, and I got a really good idea. And you guys are always leaving in the comments suggestions and things you want me to do, and a lot of them are good ideas. I'm not saying they're not good ideas, but I was posting a video over at my other channel, BrickTsar, where I do Lego content. And I got this comment from Jeremiah Miller, who said, "Can you do a layout tour on TrainWorld Fun?" And even with all the Lego content I've done, where I've done like 3 times the number of videos related to Lego as I have on this channel with the trains, if you take all of my videos from all of my channels, the thing that's in most, that occurs more than anything else, is probably this table. And I don't think I've gone through and done a detailed overview of this, and probably because I'm pretty disappointed in that I never actually finished it after 16 years, I think, almost 16 years now since I first constructed the table. May have been at the other house where I actually built the table. So I think that's what we're going to do. You hear the trains running. I actually powered it up. This is the way it was when I started the video. So I was going to unbox these and add the shell car to this, and then I was going to unbox that. But you know what? We're going to do Jeremiah's suggestion. We're going to do a layout tour, and I think I need to move some of these trains just to get them off of the main line there. So I want to do that first. So one of the things unrelated to doing the layout tour is I should have programmed... What is making that sound? I should have programmed the locomotives with the road number on the locomotive, and I didn't do that. And I do not know what I have done here. I'm going to back this thing up. I need to change the direction. Okay, so I got the locomotives, the trains moved off to the side. So this layout is 4 feet wide and 8 feet long. A typical standard starter size railroad that I haven't outgrown. I mean, I've outgrown it, but I haven't expanded it, is what I should say. I have made changes to it, though. In fact, I originally had a different track pattern on here that I changed years before I ever started YouTube. But when we moved in this house, I decided to go with the twice around pattern, and I actually got it from a book that goes way back. I think it was called Blueprints, but the Atlas actually reprinted it in this, the Atlas Beginner's Guide to HO Model Railroading, which I think you can still buy this. I bought it because it had the original track plan. So let me show you what that original track plan looked like. Oh, before I go to that, let me just show you. This is basically exactly where I got the how to construct the table, because people are always asking me that. It's a 4x8 sheet of plywood on 1x4. So there's the 1x4s, and then you can probably see the supports right here going across 1x4s. That's how I did it. And then all the wiring is run under the tables. It's kind of gotten messed up over the years with cats and changes that I've made. I really need to tidy it up a bit, but that's why a lot of the wires are hanging down. So this isn't sponsored by Atlas or anything, but Atlas books were what I used a lot growing up as a kid and dreaming of my layout. So this is the perfect starter guide. It's using old style track. This is the Snap track, Atlas track that they sell, but it tells you everything you need to know. Oh, I could probably read this to learn about command control there. But mine was a DC layout, so it used things like this. I used the selectors, which is the four position ones right there, and it tells you how to wire that. That's what this book does. It's a really good book for beginners. But the layout that I have is not, yes, this one. Nope. This is the 4x6. So they got two twice around. This is twice around a 4x6. Mine is in 4x8, called the Senior Twice Around. And the way they designed it, you know what? I should get this. I should make the update to wire it as DCC. Because this is something, the original, when I designed this, the original, it only had this, but they've updated it. And I should rewire it, although I do have a lot of things like the Thomas & Friends stuff that uses DC. But the layout was designed for the controls to be on this side, but the way I have it oriented on my layout is like this. It's upside down. See where the crossing is right there? It's on that end, the far left there. So I actually put my power supply upside down, which it is made it more complicated than it needs to be, because it had kind of a logical sense the way the numbers were for the switch machines and stuff and the passing sidings. So I'm actually doing it kind of upside down. So I thought about turning the table around and putting the control panel on this side, but I liked having the crossing in the front right there. Yeah, that's the problem. But this is where I got the design, but I've modified it greatly because it only had these two sidings. So I added this siding here, and I thought that would be like expansion. And at one point I had 3 tracks here, but when I added the station, the Knapford station, I had to take one of the tracks out to make it fit in there. So it's not a 3-track siding anymore, it's just a 2-track. So that's different. And then the siding here, I added this switch track where I could go to things to this station here. Of course, they have to run up into the turntable, but I also added the turntable. Again, that was something that wasn't in the original design. And then I got Tidmouth Sheds. And originally I had a manual operated turntable, but now we have the motorized one, which I bought at one of these a store called Bargain Hunt, I believe it was, and it was missing the controller. But so I use this power supply here, throttle, to actually control it. I'm not going to move it right now. I've done videos showing this thing working, but yeah, it's motorized, which is cool. And in Tidmouth Shed, we got all the locomotives, not all of them, but we got it all, completely full with the Thomas & Friends locomotives. And I've added a couple extra sidings. It almost makes it look a little bit too crowded. I probably shouldn't even have these sidings or these engine stalls or whatever you want to call them here. But yeah, I filled it completely up. I meant to have a water tower and a coal station here where the steam locomotives could get their water and coal, but I never got the coal one, just the water one. That looks kind of dinky right there, the little Gandy Dancer station, whatever they call that. Yeah. But yeah, Tidmouth Sheds. And some have asked, why don't you add another one? It won't fit. I tried it. I actually tried having this over, and it interferes with the trains going right there, so it doesn't work on my small layout. And so the re-railers, I originally intended for like a road to come through here and be able to go in, but then when I changed things up, added that switch track, it's not really quite right. I think the road would have to actually go through here if I do make a road. So I don't know what I'm doing here. It's just a mess. And I got these like solenoid powered switch machines, which are controlled by these things. So you basically got a center, actually red and green. So that tells you which direction it goes. And what you do is you push the button. So this one here, I believe, is track 4 or switch 4. Oh, I got to turn the power on. So now you turn it over and you push it. Turn it over, push it, and it automatic switch machine, which is nice. You don't have to go to the other side of the layout like I can do with number 1 over there without actually walking over there, which is super. I love having the remote controlled switch machines. And in the very early videos I did on YouTube, there was no scenery. I did add some, added the ballast, which is starting to come off. It's basically glued down on top of this road bed. It's just basically a mixture of water and glue, and then you lay the ballast down and you just kind of try to clean it up. I didn't do a very good job with it. It can cause problems with the locomotives. Also, these Atlas switch tracks, they're not the best. With the frogs, they do interfere with some of the Hornby trains. I know a lot of people blame me for the derailments, and yes, there's probably things I've done, but these frogs probably need to be filed down, or I need to use different wheels, because it does interfere with the Hornby passenger cars and things like that. And in addition to the ballast, I added like dirt, which again, it's glued down with a mixture of water and glue. Some of it's already starting to come off. This wasn't completely like this where it's bare, but as we go around the layout, I think this kind of gets rubbed off, or maybe I didn't really apply it good all the way. Got these kind of pre-made trees added. This is one of the Thomas and Friends things. It's just sitting there. I don't know why. It's a phone booth. It's supposed to be Bill and Ted's phone booth. I need to make a modification to make it look like that. This is the windmill from Thomas and Friends. And then we come over here. I just placed these buildings here that were kind of broken. I've never come by and tried to fix them or make them more permanent. They got a lot of problems. It looks pretty bad. I probably should just get rid of all of that and just like put trees here. Actually, it'd probably look better if I just took all this up and put trees here. Maybe have one thing. This is from one of the sets that I bought. But I wanted to have stores. But again, I got these secondhand, and they are just really in bad condition. Probably would look better without those there. Again, these Scandinavian or German looking buildings, got those secondhand as well. Just crowding it all up. Probably would look better if there were no buildings there. Might keep the little truck depot, although the trucks can't get to it the way it's oriented right now. In the back. Oh, that's where the train. So that should actually go up against the train track, and that's where the trucks go. So I don't know. Doesn't really fit on this layout. Again, I put these re-railers here, again, for a road could come, but then I crowded it up with a bunch of buildings. And so again, the center part, I've never finished. In fact, you can see, maybe you can see, there's some pencil marks here for the old layout that was on here before. And then I moved it into a different layout. All right, come back over here. Again, this part I glued, but there's just a lot of, I think it actually was covered, but it wasn't glued properly, and some of that has just kind of blown away over time, so that's why it looks so bad. I just really need to start completely over and watch more tutorials on doing landscaping. This just looks really bad. Oh, there's a phone booth here. I don't know why I never noticed that phone booth there at Pikesville Junction. So that's that. So that's most of the layout. We're going to come over here to where Cranky is. So we got Cranky the crane there. We got a freight depot. We got this switch yard thing. It really should be like where, I don't know, where major traffic would be. There's a mailbox, a bench, some old cars, Doctor Who. We got Harold and a tractor. I bought that tractor in Germany. For some reason, Grumpus is over here. That's the one that New Storyteller sent us. He should probably be on the water. We got Carl Malone. Did a face plant there. We got Sir Topham Hatt. That Bulgy right there. So yeah, it's just a big disarray. Oh look, there's another phone booth hidden over there in the woods. So what should I do? I probably should get rid of most of these buildings. Maybe leave the freight station. Get rid of the truck depot. Get rid of all that. Get rid of the little town on the other side of Tidmouth Sheds and just put trees and such there. Although I feel like there should be something near this. But maybe this is the station. There needs to be a building, I think, near the train station. Actually, probably what I need to do is just start all over. This train layout has been a part of this house since we moved in. And it's part of my history here on YouTube. So as much as I want to redo it, I just sometimes I can't bring myself to do it. But it's too crowded. It's small. I would like to run more of the Thomas and Friends stuff and do like different sections that could be scenes from some of the older episodes of Thomas and Friends. Oh, Jeremy's still on top of there. I don't know. I think it would be nice to have a bigger layout. Just got to find the room to put it. And if I do another layout, to actually finish it. So do you think I should finish this out just for now until I have the time and the space to make a bigger layout? Let me know in the comments below. Get rid of the buildings, yes or no? I think you'll say yes. Get rid of those other buildings on the other side? I think you'll say yes. Just put some shrubberies and trees. Bring me a shrubbery there, and just so it'll have more of a finished look to it and not be cluttered up with junk like I've had for most of my videos. If you want to see more information, I'll try to remember to look up the details where I talk about how I do the DC wiring. I don't go into point-by-point detail, but I just kind of explain what the functions of each thing is, how you can control locomotives, 2 locomotives going in opposite directions. I've done several videos where we run them in opposite directions without them stopping, with me filming and operating the remote control switches. I got pretty good at it with the smaller trains, like the Thomas and Friends trains. As long as it's not too long, you got enough time in the passing siding to do it. But learning the DCC is so much better, although it'd be easier with multiple controllers and operators. But yeah, I am loving the DCC. I could completely change this layout to DCC, but then all the locomotives that would run on it would have to be DCC, which means I couldn't run 99% of my stuff. I only got about 6 or 7 locomotives that have the decoders on them. But that's an overview. I want to thank Jeremiah for the question. Did I cover enough of what's on here? Did I go too fast? Did I go too slow? What is that guy doing right there? And there's probably a lot of hidden details, but it's really kind of sad, my layout. But one thing though, one positive. Let's take a positive from this hodgepodge, this mess, from this amateur hobbyist that TrainWorld Fun is. I have taken a simple train pattern from a beginner's book, and I have turned it into basically this YouTube channel. So, as sad as this layout looks right now, as unimpressive as it probably would be if I took it to a show, it's very special to me, and I think it's an example that you don't have to have a lot to make something that hopefully other people will view as entertaining. So we've done a lot with this layout. It would be sad to take it apart. But if I am to build another layout in order to make room for the space, I would probably need to take it apart. One of the things I would definitely do in the future is, this thing's kind of in a hole. This is a section of the basement that's kind of in a hole. It actually perfectly fit, and I thought it was a great idea at first, but it's very hard to get around it, to get around to all sides. And since I do YouTube videos, I would love to be able to film trains easily from all sides. So I don't really want this thing butted up against the wall, even though it's not right against the wall. It's a narrow space, and it's a pain to get behind there. I'd rather have it out in the middle of the floor. And it's gotten kind of dusty. Things like Knapford Station and Tidmouth Sheds, they got a lot of dust on them. And I would like to give them a space where it's more impressive. Maybe I could actually expand Tidmouth Shed if I redesigned the layout. So what we got to do is just figure out if that's something I can do in the future. Do I want to use my own track plan or one from a book? I got lots of books on layouts. But yeah. So again, if you want to know where I got the design for my layout, the table, the wiring, everything is in this book, The Atlas Beginner's Guide to HO Model Railroading. And the plan actually goes back to a book, I think it goes all the way back to the 60s. This 4x8 pattern that I adapted to myself, to what I wanted here. So yeah, that's the layout that became home to TrainWorld Fun's layout that showcased all of the Thomas and Friends locomotives, all the characters, Hornby and Bachman. It's Atlas track for the most part, Bachman track where the Tidmouth Shed is. What other things do I need to tell you? I burned out the first power. I don't know if I show the power supply, but I did so many videos and did so many crazy things with my locomotives that I actually burned up one. It just completely shorted out, or what? It just died. And so this is actually an old one. It doesn't have enough current, I think, because it actually runs the locomotives a little slower when you're at max speed than some of the other ones I have, but it's working right now. It's a dual pack. I can run 2 locomotives, and I need the space so I can put the third power supply here to control that. But yeah, that is the layout. Thank you for watching this tour. I imagine myself cleaning this up, like, there's a random tank car sitting in the sitting there, school buses. You know what? I think when I get done with this, I'm just going to take all the buildings off, and maybe that'll motivate me to put some greenery there. I do need to think about the road. I hate making roads. Haven't done it in a long time, but yeah. But anyway, lots of work to do, even though it's a small layout. But give me your feedback. I can take it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We're going to be doing more train videos. And yes, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching Trains Are Fun. See ya, Carl and Sir Topham Hatt.